Welcome back to the Roy Garage. Today we continue our chassis swap with this 48 Dodge grain truck cab onto a 3/4 ton chassis. We had some brackets to mount the front clip and the chassis permanently. First thing we're going to do is we need to grind the bottom of this radiator mount so it's flush. So that way we can mount it to our bracket here that's going to the chassis. We also have to drill these holes to match up. Sweet. Plenty. Ooh, buttered it. All right, now we're going to bolt this to the chassis, so that way when we lift the front clip to put it on there, it just sits on here nice and easy, and we just have to shimmy it back and forth to figure out where we want it. Ready? What? Yeah, it's metal. All right, I gotta shift this thing your way. I was thinking we could put these bolts in here and then we could pull it all the way that way, because then these bolts will be flush and perpendicular with the chassis, and then it's matching the cab up with the front clip. Make sense? Yep. Let's do that. Oh, dude, we're gonna do this. Little insulation, you know what I'm saying? And I think eventually, or like they had those washers in between the radiator and this mounting bracket on the original truck this was on. I think we're gonna want to do that same thing. So it'll just be getting 4 more washers, taking this front clip off and putting those in there. So I said we were going to tighten these, but we're actually going to attempt to fasten the front clip to the cab, because there's some give going forward and backwards with this. Attaching it to the cab is going to allow us to get this straight, the cab straight, and then figure out what the height needs to be. But essentially we have 2 bolts that bolt from the inside out into the front clip. Holy smokes. We got this front bolted on and it bolted to the cab. I think all we have to do now is make sure this thing is centered on the chassis and then not twisted. And I think we can do that by measuring from this point to the cab on both sides, and then from the chassis to the edge on both sides. And that'll get us where we need to be. And we can start welding. Something like that. Yep. 13 and 5/16 on that side. Wow. 13 and like 5/16 on this side. Which makes a lot of sense because the front clip's straight. It's bolted to the cab. The cab looks great too. So now I'm going to measure here. I got 2 3/4 from the edge of the chassis to the edge of this flat spot right there. 2, 3 1/8. We'll try and get as close to that as we can. It might end up being 2 1/2. All right, I want to lift it a little bit and then.
Just under 2 1/2.
Dude, I'm right on the money on that too.
That's what we're supposed to be, 2 7/16.
You could maybe argue I'm a 16th short of that, but that means we're within a 32nd.
Just not even close to 6 Sigma.
So we got our rear mounts here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put on our shock absorbers on there. and then actually bolt them to the cab to determine where they go on the chassis. From there, we can tack weld them in position and start working on the front. Oh man, our bolt's gonna be way too short. See how that? Oh no, it's not. I gotta cut this. Get this out of the way though. Nice. Get rid of the old. I think I can mount it flush to it, but I think we'll eventually want to grind it off. But for sake of fitting this up right now, I think we can just try and cut this. There we go. All right, you ready? Geez, I could have done a better job designing this. You know, it'd be right down there, but whatever. I suppose we can, yeah. There we got two rear cap mounts fastened into the body. We're gonna tack weld these. We'll get a good. It'll be a little more than a tack, just to kind of get them in place, get them sitting good, and then from there we'll go to the front. It's a lot of words, but cut it down. All right, we initially had this designed to where we have, like where we do now, where this is actually bolted to the cab. We'd use the original cab mount, put this onto the cab mount, and then basically just weld it, which I think would work great. But I'm gonna use some cardboard here, try and design out more of a boxed in mount, just like this one back here. All right, I wasn't a fan of how our rear cab mounts fit onto the chassis, so went ahead and got some new ones fabricated. You can see the mount on these is a lot lower than our original design, so hopefully that mounts better on the chassis with our mounting point. And I got some fabricated for the fronts. So now I'm going to test fit these, and then I got to cut off the existing front cab mounts, bolt these on there, and weld them up. Let's get it. That looks nice. Center on the chassis, get a nice weld here, nice weld across the top. Heck yeah. Let's go on the other side. Make sure the other side fits really well, and then we'll start working on these front ones. Oh, going the wrong way. Backwards. There it goes. Oh, it was a little. Kind of seems like we just need to grind that top. This top edge right here off a little bit. You can kind of see it there. This edge sticks out a little bit. So I'm going to grind that off so we can fit things flush before we melt any metal. But before that, we're going to work on the front. Got that ground down. Also took off a little bit of paint because we need to drop some welds on here eventually. So might as well, while we're grinding, clean off that paint. All right, now let's give this a shot. Definitely seems a lot better. Yep, definitely seems a lot better. We're gonna start working on that front because getting that front done, once we get that front done, actually, you know what? I should probably weld this rear because that's what sets our height. Yeah. Then we could work on the front. And then we'd have one cab mount in. And it won't shift. I actually really like that idea. All right, well, I'm going to grind a little bit here to make sure we got some room. Oh, we got to get some grinding done. We're going to do that because we're going to weld up here, and that's where the top brace goes. I hadn't ground it down yet. So, I think now I might practice some welding or figure out how to brace this front end up. All right, now that we got those rear mounts placed where we want them, I'm going to get my welder set up. I have some spare 10 gauge scraps here that I'm going to tack weld together and run a couple beads to try and get some practice in before I start laying some beads and some tacks on the chassis. Yeah, let's give it a shot. 75 argon, 25% CO2. We got 25 thou wire, and we're doing 10 gauge. So that's speed 8 and your heat E. So that's set to E for our heat or voltage, and then speed 8, that's where we're going to start. Looks like when we go down or we go vertical, we want to come down. I'm pretty sure, that's interesting. That's from some of the videos I've seen online. They like to point where they're going to push the bead and push heat into where they're going. So I guess we'll try it 2 different ways and see how it goes. And just FYI, always make sure you have good circulation. I'm opening the garage door and then my rear door to make sure I get good ventilation. Definitely seems like I'm getting some good penetration. I think I'm good enough to tack these ones in place. All right, we got this cab mount right here, put right where we want it. Beautiful. We have our welder dialed in, so I'm going to throw tack here, tack there, tack the other side, and then my best to run a bead down there, and we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed, huh? All right, let's see what a guy can do. Oh. It's not a beautiful bead, but I really think I got a lot of good penetration. Probably could have ended a little bit better, but I like it. I like it a lot. I'm getting away from the corner. Shoot. Oh, are you kidding me? Oh man, bummer, dude. Guess we're done welding today. Ran out of wire. Rule number 2, because rule number 1 is surface prep. Rule number 2, have good grounds. Sure, we'll call that good. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get this tacked up so we can work on the front. Should I run a bead? I think I might just run a bead. That just means you got good penetration. I got one more tack up top of here. Sweet. There we go. It's gone. Now let's get to some grinding, huh? Huh? What? What? What'd you say?
Your gloves?
Did you say something? Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna use some different gloves next time. Kind of get a little bit of a tickle every now and then. Oh yeah, like butter, dude. Let's go get our new Juan and test fit it. Huh? Ooh, that's nice. All right, I need a washer that's behind me in this books. Oops. All right, so that goes in there. This goes on top. And then we need a canut on the bottom. Or on the top. The moment of truth. You ready?
Yeah.
Washer up here. Alright, you got that bolt? There it is. The washer. Ready to put this thing together? Yeah, let's do it. That was pretty darn good from here. Oh, it looks pretty good on this side too. Good. I say we drop this thing down and see what happens. Which one to the other side? What do you guys think? Move this because it's definitely in the way. Ooh, she is Juan with the chassis.
One with the chassis.
We get the other side done and she will be one with the chassis. Then we could throw we could throw a chair up in there. Oh man, this is gonna be sweet.
Alright. Alright, now if that could just grind itself off, then we can weld on our new cab mount. Oh shit, we gotta grind this out too. Oh, that nut? Oh, right. There you go, Jake Roy. Wow. What is it? Now it's jacking around. What's all this? What's this? Yeah, I'm still in the light. Need some help? Alright, so we got it. Barely. He's hanging there. Oh boy. We seem to get a little further away on this one, don't we? I was wondering about that. Oh, the beaver's not sick. That doesn't look good. Why? So, what's that mean? I was wondering about that because what? Where those studs were on the this mount, but it is, I mean, just you might have to adjust a little bit. It'll work? I think that's pretty close to where it is on the other side. We just need to go up. Yeah. How come well, you're probably, oh, you're down a quarter of an inch because you're on that flange. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. I feel like I can grind a couple slots and bang that up though. Oh yeah, yeah, that's a great idea. I need my shield. Huh? Where's my shield? It's in the cab right here. Can you hand it to me? Yeah. Can you tell it's getting late? I got it on there. Okay, I got her. Once we get so far, it'll just start to smash. Go around that bush. But what I think we should do is figure out where we were on the other side. I honestly think this has got to be centered. It's got to be. I don't understand how. Isn't it? So it looks like we were like an inch above here, and then hanging on barely at the front there. You know what I'm saying? So I think that jack that side up a little bit. And flush. Way up here. You know? Yeah. Maybe does that to make it level? Maybe. Might be because like. Here, yeah, I'll give you my level here. That's level right there, which would be close to where we are on the other side. Here's my level. Yeah, that's it right there. Seems like it's pretty close. Yeah, that seems pretty pretty close. You know, good enough from the road. Yeah, you won't see that from the highway. Yeah, you won't see it from the highway because we're probably not going to go on the highway. Yeah. Right there? In here, huh? All right, here goes nothing. You know, I think that actually looks halfway decent. You might need to take a look at that one, Leroy's. Okay. Like, yeah, you're not going to go to the moon. Yeah, you're not going to go to the moon with it, but
I think you could at least, get 10 feet off the ground with it. I don't know, I'm probably a little hot though. But then if you ask the right guy, I'm probably a little cold. Dude, I think that's freaking nutty. Ugh. My head hits the ceiling. Wait.
An inch higher than this might be the money shot, you know? Start designing. Wow. Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Roy Garage. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on next week's episode of the Roy Garage.